Want to know the 3 principles you should follow when giving feedback to your employees, staff, or subordinates? In this video, I will discuss the SBI Feedback Model. If you find value in this information, please share and click the subscribe button below. My name is Christopher Houston, and in this video, I want to talk about giving feedback and having those crucial conversations. Bill Gates was quoted saying, "We all need people who will give us feedback. That's how we improve." There are 3 reasons to give feedback: to correct, to develop, and to reinforce. Communication and feedback is a big part of any supervisor, manager, or director's position. This past January, I took a senior leadership course taught by American University. We discussed feedback in several of the sessions, so I'm going to assume giving feedback is pretty important. When giving feedback, timing is everything. You want to give feedback as close to the incident or challenge as possible. Take into consideration the place where you give your feedback. Never give feedback in a crowd, especially constructive feedback. You want to pull the individuals to the side and give the individual feedback individually. So pull the person to the side and say, "Excuse me, can we talk about something real quick?" And then make sure it's in a quiet room or office. You can give feedback in a group if it's reinforcing good behavior, like an award. That's always good to give in a group. Before I get into the feedback model, let's go over 10 common mistakes when giving feedback. Mistake number 1, when the feedback judges the person. Don't judge the person. Remember, you are there to develop, correct, or reinforce a behavior. Common mistake number 2, the feedback is too vague. You want to be specific when giving feedback. Also, stay away from cliches. Common mistake number 3, the feedback speaks for others. Don't bring a third party into the feedback session. Common mistake number 4, the criticism sandwich. We've all heard of this one. For those of you who don't know about this technique, it's when you say something positive, then address the challenge and close with something positive. If you've used this in the past, it's okay. But now you are watching this video, you must stop and use a more updated model. Remember, when we know better, we do better. Common mistake number 5. The feedback contains exaggerations or uses the words always and never. Common mistake number 6. Don't psychoanalyze the person's responses. What you think about someone's intent is probably wrong. Common mistake number 7. The feedback session goes too long. Whenever I first take over a team, I let them know that I don't like long meetings. I never have a meeting go over an hour. Don't try and store up a lot of feedback and give it all at one time. Try to complete the feedback session for any challenge as soon as possible. You don't want to get someone in a room and say, "On this date, you did this. On this date, you did this. On this date," and let's say the dates span back 3-4 months. That's not the way to do it. As soon as the incident happens, you want to address it. It should not take long to give the feedback. Remember, the feedback session is to correct, reinforce, or develop. Common mistake number 8, the feedback contains an implied threat. Don't say things like, "If this happens again, I'm going to have to fire you." I know that I should say that goes without saying, but I've heard people say that before. Don't do that. Common mistake number 9, the feedback uses inappropriate language or humor. Be specific and stick to the topic and the challenge. And lastly, common mistake number 10. The feedback starts with a question instead of a statement. For example, you start the feedback with this type of statement: "I passed by your desk yesterday, and guess what I saw you doing?" Don't do that. This gives the wrong impression. This gives the impression of it's kind of funny and you're there to play around. Be specific. Now, we've addressed what not to do. Now let's quickly go over the SBI Feedback Model. The first step of the SBI model is the S, which stands for situation. Start with the situation. These are the exact things that I witnessed, and we are here to talk about that challenge. That's kind of what you want to say in the first part. The next step is B, for behavior. Talk about the exact behavior you witness. Lastly, you move on to the last phase, which is impact. Explain exactly how it impacted you or other individuals, and stress that the behavior will not be tolerated. Not the person, their behavior. You want to make sure that you are always speaking to the behavior and not straight to the person. An example of when to use this model is when someone makes an inappropriate comment in a meeting, group, or one-on-one. So let's look and see what that looks like. Let's say you're in a meeting and one of your subordinates or colleagues makes an inappropriate comment. Using the SBI model, I would start the meeting with this statement. I called this feedback session to discuss an inappropriate comment you made in the meeting this past Tuesday. Do you remember that meeting? See, starting the feedback session this way lets the person know exactly why you're here, and the situation part of the SBI model is taken care of. Let's move on to the next thing you would say. I believe the comment was inappropriate because you used profanity when explaining certain parts of the project. This is the behavior part of the SBI model. Just talk about the behavior. Don't try to psychoanalyze the person. Just state the fact that profanity was used and it won't be tolerated. Lastly is the I in the SBI model, impact. You could say something like, profanity can offend, anger, intimidate, or hurt others. Even worse, younger colleagues may think it's okay to use profanity in meetings, and we both know that we have policy that prohibits the use of profanity. That's it, the SBI model. Short, quick, and to the point. I would thank the person for listening and move on. I would send that person an email documenting that conversation, and then that's it. In next week's video, I will show you how to document these conversations, as well as a way to document all crucial conversations. I will explain a system that is easy to do, and it makes it easy to retrieve this information for later discussions with that person. In this video, we have discussed the SBI model of feedback. And that's number 1, situation, which that's where you state the situation. Number 2 is behavior. You speak to the behavior, not the person's character. Number 3, impact. State how it impacted you or others. I hope you found value in this video. If you did, please subscribe, like, or leave comments below. Also, if you think someone you know can benefit from this information, please send the link to that person. I post a video every Saturday. My name is Christopher Houston. Thank you very much. Good night and God bless.